Texas chime in, I would let them know that if Alaska were two states, they'd be the third largest state. So I've decided to use the White House format for dark money so that we have a balanced understanding of the fact that our proceedings here, the aspirations for the court, there is an ecosystem out there on both sides. As a matter of fact, we had a judicial nominee who actually participated in this ecosystem. I think you could reasonably assume if they participated in that ecosystem that they probably would have been an activist judge. The point that I make here is that we've seen this ecosystem mobilize to support you, and I think, Judge Jackson, you said you haven't had any encounter with demand justice. I don't know if you've had any encounter with some of these that are abbreviated, or I'm sorry, either acronyms are abbreviated, so I wouldn't expect you to. It would be interesting if we could, for the record, determine if you have had any interactions, but with respect
I've never seen most of those.
that's good enough. I wouldn't expect you to. be honest.
Where's the volume?
Yeah, but they are out.
Morning.
Good morning, Carson.
How are you?
Morning, Gene. Good.
See if we have some folks join us. I know it's spring break for some folks, so hopefully we can get enough people here.
Yeah.
Hey, Tammy.
Morning.
Well, it looks like we're right at 8, but let's maybe give it a couple minutes. I guess Vice Chair. Morning.
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 Morning, Pedro.
Hey, how are you? Carson,
How are you?
doing well, thank you.
Here comes our quorum with Kyle. All right, so today Chair Sandgren is out on spring break, like I know a lot of folks are. So our fearless Vice Chair, Wadi Burgos, is going to help me run this meeting, but I will obviously be here to help as well. So Chair, if you just want to kick it off, I just need a motion and a second for those February minutes, if you guys had a chance to take a look at them.
So moved.
All second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments on those minutes? All right, seeing none, any of those in approval, please say yes.
Yeah, yes,
All right, anybody disagree, please say no. All right, the motion is approved.
Thank you. Before I jump into the treasurer's report, I just want to briefly say, as my first kind of month here as executive director has been really productive. I just want to say thank you to Tammy, Catherine, and Jean for a few in-person meetings we've been able to have over the last couple of weeks. It's been extremely productive and collaborative. We're extremely busy, as you guys know, and we'll talk about here today, but I just wanted to say that up front and say, just been a really great month so far. And I will hop into the treasurer's report for March. Just a couple of things to point out here, nothing incredibly different than last month. Our opening balance was roughly $22,700, and we had some pretty good deposits in the month. 15,000 came in from a local match for Westminster for their Flex Ride program. That'll be set back for the Flex Ride program in our reserve account. And $10,000 worth of one CMAQ report in November came in. Those were the big ones, a few others in there, as you see. The CDOT TMO support grant for those 4 months was relatively small because our staff time was small, but those will really beef up here as we go into the last few months of that grant. We backloaded that on purpose. Our debits were relatively normal. I'd say, as always, our salaries were a little bit higher than normal because of the way the Karen transition happened out. We paid out a little bit earlier, and that's why some of these numbers are a little bit strange, is because of the way that we ended up paying her payroll at the end of the month before she was able to transition out. So that looks a little bit different than normal. And 2 or 3 things here at the bottom that are kind of out of the ordinary from our traditional subscription services and IT support is a mailbox. We set up another 12 months at our mailbox. That was $252. We'll be good for that for the next year. We thought that was the best option considering we don't have a lead on any really active office space. I see a hand from Jean. Do you want to go ahead?
Yes, my question is, which one of these invoices are the oldest, and why is there a delay?
Yeah, really great question, Jean. So I'll just say, here's our current checking balance, 17,970. And the reason it's a little bit lower is because of that salary piece towards the end of Karen's time. We just took out money a little bit earlier than we normally would for that, but we still have a healthy savings balance of 54,104 as of this morning. So our outstanding invoices, like Jean said, a lot of these are really old, and we have almost $100,000 sitting out there, which is not that abnormal this time of year. It's a little bit slow. So we're still waiting on December and January invoices, as well as February, but those December and January ones should be paid by now. I've inquired with CDOT. It sounds like they have some staffing issues over there. They're a little short on staffing. They just changed over 2 months ago who covered the CMAQ reports and returned those in with the federal folks that gave the check mark. So that's why that one is a little slow. And the Flex Ride, we had one little change up in their staffing as well. So it sounds like just some issues on their end, nothing to do with us, but it's just been frustratingly so slow to see those come in. Our membership renewals, that's really just me working through the process of becoming the contact for places like Amazon. You have to go in and change your name in the system, and that's just been a little bit slower than it normally would be, since Karen could just log in and submit those invoices, but nothing out of the ordinary there as well. Our Adams County local match, I just talked to Adams County Commission Chair Lynn Baca yesterday. She's helping us out with this, and they've sent an email to their accounting department. Sounds like it's in the works and is supposed to be coming to us soon. That'll be a direct deposit to our account. And if that doesn't come in the next week or 2, I'll have to call her again and see if she can't help us push it along. Our NATA membership dues are well underway. They don't like to transfer those either that or the admin fee to us until they've received all of the money. They're a couple short right now, and the word is if they don't get that done in the next week, I guess by the end of the month, they'll go ahead and transfer us the funds, is what I've asked them to do. And they can transfer the rest of them later. I'm happy to take any more questions if Gene, if you have a follow-up.
No,
Perfect. I think the main takeaway is we're really set up for success, but we're just frustratingly waiting on a lot of this money to come in. I feel perfectly comfortable with where we are. It's just a waiting game, and we have a lot more money sitting out there with this TMO support grant that's going to help fill some gaps. As you'll see next month, we've been working on that pretty heavily. So I guess with that, I'll take comments and then a motion, Chair.
so moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor to approve the March Treasurer's report, please say yes.
Yes.
yes,
All right, those against it, please say no. All right, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on into the fun portion of the presentation, at least for us. You may notice a little bit of a different look to the PowerPoint this time. That's because I went ahead and dove in and changed it all out for our new logo and colors as I sent out last month. Thank you for those of you who provided feedback on those 2 logos. We went ahead and went with the first one. That's what I heard back from folks. And I truly believe that's the best one, and our contractor also believed that was the most appropriate one for us. So glad to hear we're all in alignment there. So starting probably mid-April, when our website is totally completed, we'll do a big splash in our newsletter and social media with our new logo, as you see here on the top, with our new color palette that we can use. It's the traditional greens and blues with a nice accent. We always need an accent color for some of our survey reporting to make some pops, and that's a nice mustard yellow. I know it's a little strange, but it does work well in a lot of our stuff that we've been working on. And here's the black and white version. It's just a traditional black logo, which we'll end up using kind of nicely. The biggest thing for us on this is the actual little logo here. And Tammy can speak to this. Our logo right now doesn't print very well. It has a bunch of little icons, and it's a challenge for us to get that on marketing materials and make it look nice. So this little logo will provide over time, as people start associating it with Smart Commute, a nice, simple branded logo for the future. The whole idea here was to set us up for success for the next 10 years, because that one served us well for a long time.
Carson, it'll look great on all of our new shirts.
You're getting some new shirts?
No, you
Yeah.
are for us.
Oh, I thought Ace Rep was going to make new shirts. Yeah, that sounds great. I could use maybe a nice logo on these button downs I have.
We'll get that treasury built up, and then we'll have 2 shirts.
Yeah, I must say I am much more stingy now with the way our treasurer's report works and the responsibilities. So not that I wasn't before, but I certainly am much more attuned to that. One more point on our logo reveal and kind of the website project that we're working on. There's a copywriter involved in this project, a professional copywriter that works with our contract person. And she'll be interviewing each one of us, and I've helped assign staff to the appropriate web pages. So Catherine will be working on her commute footprint analysis. Jean has her wonderful e-bike program, and Tammy's going to help with all of our marketing materials. And I'm going to help fill in the gaps where required. And she's going to help us create the same kind of lexicon across our entire website with a simple new copywriting style. And I think that is going to really improve the way our website reads to the public. We have a lot of great information on there, but it's been traditionally me or Catherine or people in the past going in and writing 500 words about a program, which as a more detail-oriented program person, that is not great for a website. So excited to have that when it comes. And again, that'll be by the time it's finished, probably mid-April. We were hoping to do a little bit earlier, but she had a family emergency. And since we don't have a huge rush on our end, we decided to do it right rather than do it quickly.
I
Any
love it.
questions or thoughts?
I love it.
Well, great.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, we're certainly excited.
Carson, when do you plan to unveil the new website?
We're shooting for early to mid-April, so we'd like to line it up with our newsletter since it's kind of our premier public-facing document. But we've already started work on it, and we've approved a wireframe for that. We just have to work with the designer and the copywriter to get it done. So mid-April is our kind of goal for that. All right. Well, Chair, I snuck in one more agenda item here between logo reveal and bike gap analysis. So we'll get to that next. I thought about it yesterday and realized that I was leaving it out. So some of you may have seen, some of you may not have seen, but the DRCOG Metro Vision Awards, which are essentially awards saying this is a project that recognizes excellence, innovation, and collaboration in problem solving among communities and their partners. So it's really a look at how do nonprofits, public and private sector work together to make a better region. We were awarded a Metro Vision Award for our North I-25 flexible microtransit service. So that's the FlexRide program, and then most recently the e-bike program. This is not the first time we've applied for this. We applied a couple of years ago, and then we helped spruce it up this year and include some of the e-bike materials, and were awarded that I guess a week and a half ago, which is really exciting for us. We're really happy to see that program get recognized at a regional level, because we really do believe it's an excellent look at how suburban microtransit can function. The awards ceremony is in a couple of weeks here, April 27th at Empower Field at Mile High.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm happy to take some credit, but not much. It's Jean and Karen's baby, and we will be there. It'll be me, Tammy, and Karen. The other Catherine and Jean are not able to make it that evening, so I will also be extending the invitation to any of you that may want to come and sit with Smart Commute at that event. We have 4 free seats that were allotted. We don't have money because of the way our CMAQ contracts work to pay for a sponsorship of a table, but we were given 4 free seats, and someone could be my quote unquote date. If you're interested, that would be great. I'd love to have someone there. And if not, I understand it's an evening on a weeknight and it's not too long away. So I'll follow up on that with an email to each of you. If you're interested, please let me know. All right. So now I will move us to this bike gap analysis project scope update. So just by way of background, I'm sure all of you know this. The first part of our $60,000 from CDOT was for the website logo update, rebrand. The second half of that, which is essentially just paying for staff time, is the front end of a bike gap analysis with the focus toward being, the end product is a data set that would be ready to go to graphic design and print should we receive another grant fund to do that. So we spent some time over the last couple of weeks as a staff kind of defining what we think this project will look like and what the end goal should be. So I apologize, there's quite a bit of text on the screen, but I think it's helpful in explaining exactly what the scope will look like and what this project will end up being. Smart Commute is going to assemble a group of willing and interested stakeholders representing the jurisdictions of the North area. So that's all 13 jurisdictions involved in NADA, as well as interested local businesses or organizations. Stakeholder group members will commit to a longer term discussion about the evolution of a bike map project from this grant supported stage to future stage when printing, distribution, and revision will occur. So that's the initial kind of idea. And then we talk about this preparation stage. This is what we have funded staff time for. So we have 240 hours in our grant to use up by the end of June on staff time, which is quite a bit to get this done. And we feel comfortable that that's the direction we're headed in. So here are the bullets, the goals for what this will look like. Identification of a regional vision for a bike network. So we have to start there. What does this look like from a regional vision? And we've been spending some time on this, and it's possibly going to look something like the active corridors that were identified by DRCOG in their 2019 active transportation plan. So it's a really good picture of an ArcGIS map online that has some planned regional routes. It does not identify where the gaps are, but it's a place to start with a regional route map that is a goal for us to start our analysis along those trails. Stakeholder discussion about how to communicate existing regional level routes, existing local collectors, and gaps or future infrastructure in a simple and user-friendly way. Identification of data sources for regional level routes, existing connectors, and gaps in future infrastructure that's prepared for graphic designer and a design layout for a printable map. So that's that next stage that we're talking about there. The preparation stage will result in a clean bike map data set that's ready for design and print. The future stages, we thought this was important to spend a little bit of time on so that we're looking forward to what this project might actually become. Since it's a little amorphous, we're just doing the preparation stage. We want to make sure that what we come out with is really something that's useful for the region. So the future stage, the next one would be a graphic design stage. The design and printing are outside of the scope of this grant, but stakeholders can discuss the design, printing options, and how to move that project forward, right? So which elements do we want to include in a graphic design? What type of facilities are we looking like we might want to include? What do those gaps look like on the map? And how do we help jurisdictions identify and help say, this one is on our 10-year list, this one's on our 5-year list. How do we want to identify those? And that's pretty essential and a large goal of the project. And will look a lot like a graphic design kind of conversation, I think. Then the printing stage, distribution stage. And then we never want to forget these things don't change unless we make them change. So user input, collection, and map revision change stage after that process restarts. So after they build some of those connector trails and gaps that are there, we hope to have a better picture and are able to change up that map in the future. That's it for that stage. I just really wanted to walk through what we're seeing since it'll be a large effort of ours in the next couple of months. I'm happy to take questions. Yeah, I see your hand, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for going through this, Carson. Just a question. So is the rationale for doing this to graphically illustrate where we've got the Swiss cheese, where the holes are, where the gaps are? And so is this really designed to try and prompt municipalities to fill in those gaps? Is that what this is about?
I think that's at least one of the goals, right? I think from a positive perspective, we want to show people that it might be possible to bike at a regional level in a safe way, which is kind of the positive spin on it. And the other spin, right, is to provide kind of a visual pressure piece for jurisdictions in a region to say, there's your Swiss cheese. Here it is on a map. It's not some goal project list. It's not some goal map. This is what's really out there and what we're hearing. So yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Okay. And you may have mentioned this and I missed it. When is the timing? When are these stakeholder groups getting together?
So we have to be done by the end of June.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's quick. So we're thinking probably mid-April for kind of a kickoff meeting. I am going to announce this tomorrow at the NADA meeting. I've sent out an email to a few jurisdictions to kind of probe them, but NADA seems to be the setting where a lot of those senior staff folks are in the same room. And I can say, we need you, we want you to sit down with us, and then I can follow up with an email to hopefully get kind of a virtual first meeting done by mid-April.
Thank you.
Sure. Gene?
I think another use for this map is to allow the area to focus in on some of the gaps and get behind project submittal to DRCOG for pedestrian path and bicycle path projects. It will show a need, and it will show how it'll affect all of the communities in the north area. And with DRCOG's tip process, the sooner we can get this out and available, the sooner we can get together as a group and get behind those gaps that are important, most important to the entire community.
Yeah, really great point, Gene. I think obviously tip calls this year are a little bit different and more spread out. And I think just because of the way the federal funding is split out, and I think that's an excellent point. Hopefully we can get something done, even if it's just a few gaps that isn't the final product. We can come and say, this is a great opportunity for you to submit for X, Y, or Z. And we'd be happy to be kind of co-data sponsors on that, since we're the ones gathering that information. Yeah, great point. All right. So I only have a couple of items left. I know we've run through this quickly, but I really wanted to spend some time thinking a little bit about Transforum and picking each of your brains about what you think it might look like. And I'll start with kind of our vision that Karen and I and Tammy and the team had put together before Karen had transitioned out, and now we can talk a little bit about what that might look like in a more concrete way. So the win, we're thinking this Transforum / 10-year celebration would be in late summer or early fall, preferably after kind of kids go back to school, so we don't have to deal with summer vacation breaks where people are out toward the end of summer. So that would look something like late August, September, maybe stretching into early October. We don't want to really mess with October breaks as well. So we need an in-person venue with really good AV, because I think we're going to lean on kind of a production value, some videos, maybe some videos from the past, and the content, which leads me into that conversation, is in our mind, it's a tribute video to Karen using a platform where people from kind of those that don't live here anymore and those that do can record a 60-second video or so, and we can turn it into a great tribute video for Karen, her time at Smart Commute for the last 10 years. And kind of the overall theme would be 10 years back and 10 years forward. I've seen all the past 7 Transforums. I have the agendas. And I think if we could find 1 or 2 topics that are interesting and find a speaker that would speak about where we've gone from those 7 Transforums, those AV conversations, those different conversations we've had over the last 10 years and how we have progressed and what's next, that would be ideal. We'd love to start teasing people in terms of an invite in late May, early June, especially if we have something in September. That would be ideal. That's about all I have. I really would love to just hear people's thoughts on what Transforum looks like in terms of a 10-year celebration and ideas for venues and speakers. Deb, I see your hand on the video there.
Venues, first of all, it's not too soon to book a venue, because what we're finding is we're starting to do in person is things are booked up. But one of the venues, and I don't know if you've been to it since it's been remodeled, but the old Ramada Inn on I-25 and 120th is now a Delta Marriott. And it's been gutted from the ground up and absolutely spectacular. And they have a huge conference room, but then they have a whole outdoor, not outdoor, but outside the conference room space where you can set up booths and things if that was of interest. And then they have some side conference rooms, and this is what we're going to do for our event, where you can have maybe a VIP session or something. Sometimes if you can get the speaker ahead of time and have a little VIP, it's an extra little fundraiser, but they're reasonably priced. They have excellent AV, and it is a spectacular renovation, and I highly recommend it.
Great. Yeah, I have not been in there yet. That's nice to hear that it's so nice.
But things are filling, Carson, so you might want to.
Yeah, I know. We talked about maybe using an Adams County space for free, but I'm not sure where that landed. But that one, the Delta Marriott, does sound nice.
Carson, that Marriott probably is good first choice to show it off, to Deb's point, and I can't wait to see it. But you know, our facility up in Weld County is rather large, and I would offer it as a backup if things go south on other issues. It's probably a little too far north, but just know that that might be something that if we get in a bind, we've got pretty good AV, and it'll hold several hundred people, and there's maybe 1 or 2 breakout rooms as a backup. I would certainly say try and keep it, you know, Highway 7 south, but ours is up just a teeny bit north of Highway 52, right on the frontage road. So just as a backup.
Well, very kind. Thank you, Troy. You know, we talked about the North Glen Event Center. I just feel like we've been to a lot of events there recently, and it's beautiful, but maybe we want to do something slightly different. And I think that room is probably too big for our purposes anyway.
Carson, I do like the idea of a tribute for Karen and sort of recognizing her many years of service to the organization. I think that'll be well received. And this theme of looking back, but also looking forward seems to make some sense. And I'd be curious to get other board members' thoughts on this. But I remember one of the Transforums, all the rage was the AVs, the autonomous vehicles, and how they're going to be all over the roads and just take it over everything. And there seems to have been a lull in that. And I'm just wondering, as we're thinking of topics, here's what the promise was then. Here's the state of the AV industry now. Could be of interest to see, is all that promise still there? It's just been delayed. It's still coming, but it just hasn't been realized as one potential topic. Another one that might be a little depressing, so I'm not sure I'm actually advocating for this, but it seems as though in our post-COVID environments, the use of public transportation has gone down significantly. And, you know, where do we see the future of train service, bus service, of getting people back into using mass transit? Is it just that it's a lag and that's coming back as well? But maybe that's more of a policy discussion, or I'm not sure, but that's just another thing that struck me as we're trying to figure out how to get people out of their cars. And it seems like they've gotten back into them pretty much more so than even pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree, Kyle. Those are great ideas. I think autonomous vehicles is nice and flashy, and people are curious about where those went. And obviously, I see Troy's hand. Are you going to speak to the future of public transportation here? I'll let you go next.
Yes, so clear your schedules for the rest of the morning. You know, I think that we at RTD could give a little summary of what we're hearing nationally. I mean, our situation, Kyle, is no different than most major transit agencies. I mean, I think we're looking at maybe 80-85% pre-COVID marker. We did hear last night that we have some major employers starting to push people back to the office, like DaVita, you know, which is down at Union Station. And but we think that it will never be the same because the hybrid format is here to stay. And so we may have, you know, a couple of commutes a week instead of 5. And so we covered that. We're going to have strategic planning on Saturday, talk a little bit more about that. So we could probably provide some type of speaker, whether it's Deborah or somebody from APTA in that regard, if that is so desired. The one other point that Kyle made that I think is important is I certainly agree with tribute to Karen. And looking back, you know, in the twilight of my career here at United Power, I tend to look back a lot because I'm old, and there's a lot of history at our corporation that, you know, I'm one of the few folks that has any recollection of it. But that thought being said, with this organization, I think when we can highlight some of our accomplishments over the last decade, you know, first one that pops to mind is Dr. Cog honor. You know what that does is it helps sell memberships, because proof is in the pudding. So the past is not necessarily a horrible thing. It's a good thing for us, and we can build upon that, because I know we want to build our membership. And you know, when we get to Transform, and my board members are there, they love this event. They've loved it since the get-go, wherever it has been. When we can highlight that, it helps me to get the budget, you know, to pay our dues for the future, and especially after I'm gone, to justify that. And I think that's the case for other entities. So I agree with Kyle on that in a big way, and I think you got your arms around that. Thank you very much. I've got a board meeting, so I'll be leaving here in about 10-12 minutes. But thanks for the floor, and I'll go back to mute where I belong.
Gene, I see you've had your hand up as well. Thank you, Troy.
I also think that it might be, since the Front Range Rail Commission is going to be underway, to me, that is the future, because there is funding available in the federal budget, and it was actually shown for funding, and it would be nice to have a presentation of, this is the future rail connection for the state of Colorado, and it would be going through our area. And I think to give that commission some ability to communicate with the public would be very advantageous. That's all.
Yeah. Certainly a hot topic, and I think one worth monitoring. I think at the very least, we had Ray Lang come from Amtrak to kind of talk about it tangentially from their perspective. I guess that was a couple of years ago now. Wow. But obviously something that, since the commission has just recently been appointed, I think worth considering.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Well, this is incredibly helpful for me, and I think Tammy would agree with me here. I think we just are looking for some help and direction, right? I certainly understand that I don't have the history, the 10 years back as well, so I'm looking for help from you and Karen, and I will be anybody that has recollection of great accomplishments here or there that I may be missing in my binders full of information that Karen dropped at my doorstep. So I would greatly appreciate that, and this is very helpful. I'll start thinking about venues and topics, and I think what I'll do next is for the next board meeting, we'll come up with a bit of a more concrete plan on the staff side, and we can present that and get some feedback based on what we've heard today, so we can start actually moving this thing forward. That's it I had on the agenda. I think one other item I added under my notes here last night was our Dr. Cog CMAQ partnership grant. The last cycle has ended, so the last two grant billing periods are small. You'll see that reflected in the next couple of treasurer's reports. The 22 through 24 cycle is coming. We've heard that it's in CDOT's hands. It is past the DRCOG stage, which for us is the most painful and slow stage. So it is into CDOT's hands, and it is on its way. So we're expecting that to come early April, so we can start billing against that again. But the nice thing for this cycle has been, that other DRCOG grant ran out, and we had this nice $60,000 from CDOT to spend our time on. So we've been focusing on spending as much time on that bike map analysis and logo rebrand grant partnership that we can. So it's just allowed us to cobble together some time funds in that gap period that always seems to happen no matter how much we prepare. Happened to Karen for years, and now it's happening to me. So thankful for that. And just a quick update it's coming. We're doing the right thing, but it's not quite there yet. That's all I have. It's only 8:37.
Well done, Carson.
Thank
I'm
you.
not gonna have to leave early. 'Cause we're all leaving
Yeah.
early. Bad, you're
Gonna
off
be the
to,
record.
you're off to a dandy start, Carson and company. Thank you. I would move to adjourn.
So moved.
That is approved. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
20 minutes back.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Wadi.